Welcome back to the channel, and I think it's fair to say that ERLC updates over the last year have been few and far between. Hence, many members of the community eagerly awaiting news of this year's summer update, suggesting everything from a map expansion to custom departments. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. Starting off at the top of the list with number 10, and this is different means of transportation. So basically boats, ATVs and motorbikes. Now, there is no denying that a lot of the community would like to see different types of vehicles implemented onto the game, and myself included. I believe it was back in 2021 that I created a few suggestions of myself, a few photoshops of some boats in the river. The main issue, of course, with boats is the lack of water. Although with the 2022 map update there was a sizable lake put in place by Springfield, it's still not really enough water to have a boat in. Especially if you have multiple boats in the same server at the same time, the river and lake would get pretty crowded pretty quickly. I think boats themselves wouldn't actually be that hard to create. Many other roleplay games have boats inside of them. Roblox is adding so many updates to water and how objects interact with water, so I really don't think making the boat would be the biggest issue. I think it would just be managing the space that boats are available to use in. So maybe within a map update, if there is more water, maybe there's another lake, maybe the river is wider, maybe then we can see boats. But as of right now, I don't think boats are an option. Now, in terms of the other two means of transportation, motorbikes I definitely think are the hardest to implement. It's a completely different style of vehicle. It's on two wheels, the characters on the outside of the vehicle, you've got animations in play. I think it's just a whole different thing. And they did talk about this in the Q&A. Basically, they said it's pretty hard to implement, and if they did want to implement it, it would take quite some time. So motorbikes probably, I'd say personally, would be the furthest thing away. ATVs could be cool for High Rock Park, but again, it would probably need a map update to warrant ATVs. You're not going to be driving them on the road necessarily, so either some off-roading trails up High Rock Park or just more dirt roads around the county that would warrant ATVs, but I suppose this adds on to a point I'll get to soon. Number 9, surprisingly to me, was civilian liveries. It seems that a lot of people would like the ability to have liveries on civilian vehicles in private servers, of course, and be able to be on the civilian team whilst using a plumbing van or something along the lines of that. I think civilian liveries could be a nice addition to the game, because you could have two different types, I suppose. You could have a works vehicle, so something like a plumbing van or a news van, whilst being on civilian and not having to put it on the police department and all of that sort of stuff. And secondly, you could just have some custom decals on your car. Maybe it's some race stripes, maybe it's a custom drawing or something on your car, and just add some decoration, I suppose. The main issue I see, however, is the fact that they would need to add livery options for all of these vehicles, and that would take quite some time, especially when they're trying to move over towards UV maps. Number 8 on our list is fire department and DOT trucks. In particular, things like mid-mounts, reworked ladder truck, and classic rigs. On the fire department in particular, it would be great to see more vehicle options for different states, different types of roleplay servers, especially with like a classic fire truck. That would work perfectly for a classic roleplay server, 1990s, 2000s, something along the lines of that. Or even if you just have an older station that's using older, slightly outdated rigs. And DOT as well could do with some more larger vehicles in its fleet. A lot of the DOT vehicles currently available are pickup trucks or slightly bigger, so it would be nice to see some larger vehicles inside of the fleet. Number 7 on the list is semi-trucks. This is something I have seen flying around the suggestions channel ever since summer of 2022, when they added a bunch of these loading dock bays in the industrial district, Springfield and River City. As Mr. Fergie rightly pointed out in a discussion we had a while back, semi-trucks would be a nice addition to the game. However, the map size right now is slightly too small. A semi-truck usually is long distance hauling, and the map being so small and destinations being so close to each other, it really wouldn't make too much sense. I will say it's not impossible for the developers to add semi-trucks. I think if they were to add, I suppose, trucking as a job or as a feature inside the game, they'd start with a smaller, maybe box truck, and then they could work their way up as the map grows, as it makes more sense to have a semi-truck inside the game. Number 6 on the list is customization for private servers. Now, we all know how ERLC has one of, if not the best, customization for private servers, but we're always looking for more. We're always looking for the next thing that they could add, and we've got a couple of things in particular that we'll discuss as part of this suggestions video. First up is custom departments, and what this would allow you to do is essentially create your own department in your private server. So you would set a spawn location, maybe there is 10, 15 different buildings that you could use. You set a name, a logo, a spawn location, and vehicles that they're allowed access to. I think it could get pretty complicated, especially on the development side of this, but it is something I would absolutely love to see, both for roleplay servers and videos really. Since there's only one sheriff's office, there's only one police station, you could also use this time to maybe create a small outpost in the city or in the county, create a small substation. Things like that I would absolutely love to see. And I know a lot of people say the map isn't really big enough for that, but who knows. Next up is custom license plates, and whether that means being able to upload your own license plate that you make and upload to the game, or just having a select few that the game offers you. It's just a nice step forwards with realism, and I know a lot of people, taking photographs and cinematic videos would love this in. I know there are hundreds of suggestions for private servers alone in the community, so if you do have any in particular, drop them in the comments below. Moving on to number 5, and that is a court system, and a court building of course. This has sort of been confirmed via the developer Q&A. We don't really have a date or time frame for it, but a court is something I would love to see. I'm not sure how a court system would work, especially in a public server. I don't think that would go too well, and I think that would complicate things just a bit too much. But even just a court building would be great, especially for roleplay servers. All we really need, one, maybe even 2 courtrooms, a bit of a lobby area, and then maybe some offices out the back. That's all we really need in a nice, fancy, classic looking building. I'm thinking the best place could probably be on the outskirts of River City, and I suppose it could probably make sense for this to come in a summer update, especially if they are doing a map update, but we'll talk all about that in a short while. Number 4 on our list is vehicle tuning. Games like Southwest Florida or Greenville excel because of their advanced vehicle tuning systems, and I think that's something that ERLC lacks. Currently, if you go into the customization garage as a civilian, there's only really 3 things that you can edit about your car. And a lot of people would love to see different options or different upgrades to your car. And I think for 2 main reasons. One, it would make car meets so much more fun and interesting, especially if you're able to edit the visual appearance of your car, adding a rear wing, maybe some upgrade kits, something along the lines of that. And secondly, it would give more people a much better reason to play in a public server for longer, because currently there's not much you can buy for money. It's mainly guns, vehicles, and tools, I suppose. And just being able to customize your car, make it your own. I know a lot of people love that and would definitely invite a new audience to play the game. On to number 3, and that is trailers. This as well is something that has been confirmed by the ERLC developers in a Q&A and also in some other creative videos where we got a small teaser of what this would look like, or at least what one trailer would look like. Going back to some earlier points about different means of transportation, you could have a boat trailer, you could have your ATVs in a trailer. There's so many different things you could do. You could even put your lawnmower on the trailer, and that's something that's already in game. Trailers will work great in private servers. Again, it's one of those things in public servers that I think people will go a bit crazy with, but it would definitely be great for roleplay scenarios. And it's also one of those things that once you add trailers, you've then got the ability to add semi-trucks, you've then got the ability to add boat trailers. It's like a domino effect. There's so many different things you can add on. On to number 2, and that is weapon customization. This as well is something that has been confirmed by the developers in the Q&A, and we know a bit of information about how this will work. And this is definitely something that's on a lot of people's radar, both for civilian and law enforcement use. I've talked about this in more detail before, but just giving you a quick rundown. You'll be able to add certain attachments like a flashlight or laser to certain weapons and in certain different places on the weapons. You'll also be able to add things like scopes, but only to certain weapons, which I suppose does make sense. Sort of like vehicle tuning, this is a great step forwards with the whole weapon system. It means people will have more of a reason to spend money. This would be great as well for law enforcement, since I know a lot of roleplay servers have been voicing their concerns with the current gun system and gun models. And yes, the entire gun system is being remade as well, so for all those people who continually ask the developers to add the ACS gun system, do not worry. And number 1 on our list is a map expansion or map update. I say this because the developers could take 2 approaches. They either expand the map and add new areas, or they update what we currently have, adding new interiors to the buildings or moving around some of the areas and making things work. Of course, there are limitations with the current map size. You can only put so much in before it starts to lag. And I know a lot of people would love more areas in general and therefore would like the map to expand, but I suppose for this one, we'll have to wait and see. As with every spring in the ERLC community, a bunch of map suggestions and map photoshops have been flying around the community. Some of them, to be honest, are a good few years old now. Regardless, I would definitely love to see a map update or map expansion. New areas to explore is not only great for roleplays, it's great for videos. Adding more Easter eggs in as well, that's always fun. Expanding the mines. There's so many different things that they could add, so many different places they could expand. I really do hope there is a map update this year, because the summer of 2022, that was an insane update. So anyways, thank you everyone for watching this video. Of course, there are so many suggestions I know the community would love to see, but I couldn't fit into this video. Any I missed, please drop them in the comments, as I do love reading over what you all would love to see in the game. Subscribe so you don't miss out on any new content, and I'll see you all in the next one.